welcome everybody to the May 1st, 2025 regular meeting of the Absecon City Council. Mayor, can you lead us in the flag salute?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Clark. Here. Evans.
Here.
La Rotunda. Here. Light. Absent. Parker.
Here.
Sykes.
Here.
DeRose. I'm here. This is to advise a certain advance notice has been given to the date, time, location, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting in accordance with the provision of the Open Public Meeting Act. And notice of this meeting has been posted prominently at the bulletin board in the municipal complex lobby, on the city's website, and communicated through the newspaper designated by the governing body. Additionally, this is to further advise that this meeting is being recorded electronically and can be viewed on the city's website at abseconNJ.gov. Okay, regular meeting agenda, 2025 resolutions out of consent. 95, appointing a deputy clerk pro temp for the May 1st, 2025 council meeting. May I hear a motion to move resolution 95-2025, appointing a deputy clerk pro temp for the May 1st council meeting?
Motion.
Second. Nope.
Second.
Roll call. Clark.
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
La Rotunda.
Yes.
Blight. Absent. Parker.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
DeRose, yes. 96, allowing the budget to be read by title only. May I hear a motion to move Resolution 96, 2025, allowing the budget to be read by title only?
Motion. Second.
Roll call. Clark.
Yes.
Evans. Go ahead.
Yes. La Rotunda.
Yes.
Parker. Yes. Sykes.
Yes.
DeRose.
Yes. All right, we're going to move into the budget presentation now. I want to first take a moment to thank all of those who have been a part of this process. I firmly believe this has been the most outside engagement an Absecon budget has ever had. Countless meetings and hours were poured into it. Additionally, the public input has been crucial to getting to where we are. We have offered everyone who wanted a seat at the table. Many Absecon residents have taken us up on that. For some, it literally meant a seat at their kitchen table as we made house calls to discuss this budget in great detail. What stood out most to me is folks understood. No one likes to pay more, no one wants to pay more. But around the world, trust in government is an all-time low. People want honesty, they want to say, they just want to be heard. In Absecon, every person who has reached out has gotten those opportunities. Thank you to the residents who stepped up and offered ideas. Thank you to those who may not publicly admit it tonight, but have given words of encouragement and support for this approach. Additionally, I'd like to directly address a rumor being spread that we're cutting senior citizen programs, but please don't take my word for it. This is directly from the Senior Center. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council members. I would like to thank you all for the effort put forth on the creation of the 2025 budget and that you kept the seniors of your community close at heart. The funding you provided the Senior Center is critical to be able to provide the services we offer our senior community. Rest assured that this funding will be put to good use. It goes on, but you don't have to read that part. All right. So we can direct everybody's attention to the screen. We decided after getting a lot of questions, we would put together a budget presentation to try to get as many questions answered for folks, especially as we were fielding calls and emails. Next slide, please. I think everybody here knows who we are. We have name badges, so we can go next, please. All right, so what was the budget team made up of? The mayor took part in it, Councilman Alex Clark as Finance Committee Chair, Councilman La Rotunda as a Finance Committee member, Councilwoman Parker as a Finance member, and myself as Council President. HFA, who is here tonight, is the Municipal Auditor. Kristen Manning, who is going to be here shortly, is the Absecon CFO, and then other residents, professionals, and volunteers stepped up. Next, please. Quick breakdown on where your taxes go, because I'll be honest with you, over the past month, this is the biggest confusion comes from where our actual taxes go and where You pay your taxes. So your municipal side of your tax bill, that funds police, fire, ambulance, public works, administrative staff here, trash and recycling pickup, and the community events that we do. Your school taxes, which are more than half of your property taxes, go towards the local public schools, which is pre-K through 12 as we send our students elsewhere. And then your county taxes cover the sheriff, the prosecutor, the surrogate, elections, the county clerk, the library system, and passports. Next slide, please. So again, there's been a lot of confusion on what tax increase and what percentage goes where, so we just wanted to put it on paper so that everybody can understand. So as you can see, 51% of your taxes are from the school, and then you got your 32% and your 17%. Next slide, please. Alex, you want to jump in?
Okay, I'll jump in here. I know it's very small and everyone to see. We will post this on our website for people to read as well. One of the reasons we started with this chart right here is it's our Atlantic County abstract of ratables. And we can look here and you can see what every town did from 2015 to 2024. And if you could see, it's highlighted that Absecon went up percentage-wise 1%. And if you want to compare us to other towns that are our size or comparable, I would say most people equate us to a Northfield or a Molica. And I believe if you look down, Molica went up roughly 33% over the same time period, and Molica went up 12% over the time period, as well as over $1 million in increases where we went up $108,000. Hence leads us to the next slide. If you want to look from 2015 to 2025, you can see the City of Absecon's rates, and I could run down every number on the side, but I don't want to waste everybody's time doing that. But the school is up top, obviously with the green chart. The blue is the municipal, the red is the county, and you can see where we went from 2015 to current 2025. The tax rate in 2015 total was $1.35, and for 2024 it was as high as 3.346. Next. Tax rate analysis. This is where I think the rubber kind of meets the road right here. From 2015 to 2023, the local tax rate in the City of Absecon was negative. The school tax rate was up 0.148. The county rate was up 0.03. The school and the county did raise taxes to reflect rising costs. Budgets anticipated fund balance as a revenue to fund the operating budget, an amount that was not sustainable for future financial stability. One-time revenues were also used to fund the budget that came back to hurt us. Next. This breakdown right here on this chart, I know it's small, unfortunately, you can see the 2025 budget expenditures, and I'm just going to give you an idea of where the money goes and the percentages. So if you look at general government, it's 10%, roughly $1.175 million. Land use is less than 1%, $44,000. Insurance is $1,160,000, which is 10%. Our largest one is obviously public safety, which is 35%, equivalent to a little bit over $4 million. Public works is only 4% of our budget, $497,000. Sanitation and trash removal, which is very important, which we include in our taxes, is equivalent to $894,000, or 7% of our total municipal levy, which is a big number. I don't think you can ask me questions now, but I think as soon as I'm done, I will take your question, I promise.
Are you going to make this available?
I am. I'm going to make it available on the, I understand, it's very small. It's going to be on the website, I believe. After this, tomorrow it'll be up on the website, and I'll have an email in here, and you can contact me with questions. So, recreation and public is only $91,000, 1%. Utilities are roughly 5%, $640,000. Construction code is $204,000. Statutory expenditures, which are $1.4 million. That relates to pension, health benefits, and other costs there, which we have no control over. Debt service is increasing. That's $1.246 million. And our reserve for uncollected taxes is $445,000. Next.
And really quick, Alex, to that question, sir, yes, this will all be made available. And these slides were produced as Alex and I and a few other council members spread out around the city and met with a lot of folks to discuss the budget. So as we were discussing the budget and receiving questions, we took those questions and turned them into these slides so that it would be easily explained.
Yeah.
So they will be available, yes, sir.
Okay, so 2025 budget revenues. This is where we're going to go over quickly. Surplus anticipated. The surplus we're using to balance the budget this year is $1.5 million. Local revenues are $506,000. I'm rounding these. I'm not giving you the exact numbers to the penny, just so we're all aware. State aid is $766,798. Uniform construction code $155,000. Grants are $2,800. Other special items are $515,000. $160,000 from delinquent taxes, and the big amount is to be raised by our taxes is $8,516,293.56. Next. And this is the main slide that I think everybody's here to see, is how is this actually going to impact most of our residents? What's the actual direct impact? 2024, we raised about $7,698,271.93 in property taxes. 2025, we were estimated to raise about $8,516,000, as I quoted in the first thing, up around $800,000. And it equates for the municipal rate going from 1.059 to 1.169. For the average property tax bill, the municipal portion in 2025, the average assessed value is $171,986. In 2024, they paid in municipal $1,821.33. In 2025, estimated to go to $2,010.52, an increase of $189.19. And I put a little chart at the bottom to break down the assessed values based upon $200,000, which would be roughly a $220 increase. $250,000 would be a $275 increase. $300,000 would be a $330 increase. Next. Okay, give me a second here. Factors that influence the Opsika municipal budget. Anybody, it's no news to anybody, from 2020 to 2024, inflation by consumer price index is up significantly. Inflation is up 21% for that time period. For the last 10 years, the City of Opsika's municipal side, the City of Opsika's municipal side has only went up 3.2 cents. We went up a total of 4 cents last year. And for those 10 years, we've only gone up 3.2 cents. When all things considered, inflation ran at 21%. So that leads us into where we're at. The surplus values for the City of Opsika over the last 10 years have declined and declined significantly. We're unable to replace $900,000 in lost surplus from 2024 that we used to balance the budget last year. Costs in Opsika right now are greater than our revenues. That's why there's a tax increase. Factors in 2024 that drove the tax increase for this year, and I'll break them down by cents. $415,000 less in surplus to support the budget. We used 1.9 in 2024 to supplement the budget. This year we're using 1.5 million. We have 415,000 less available because we did not bring that back, which is a major factor, which leads to 5.5 cents. We lost state aid, equivalent to $78,695, which is 1 cent. We had a couple one-time revenue sources last year, a cell phone tower of about $50,000, as well as a general capital fund that were equivalent to about $141,000, which is 2 cents. Health insurance year over year increased by 9.7%, which is nothing to laugh about. A significant cost for us. 9.7% increase for health insurance. Our debt service, which is our loans that have been outstanding, our principal payment went up $130,538, which is equivalent to 1 3/4 cent. Next. This is our year-end surplus. So if you would like to look, I know no one can see the numbers, which is fine, but if you look at the blue chart, you can see where the surplus for the city is headed. It was at one point in 2021, we'll just go back so I don't waste everyone's time, we were at 3.2 million. In 2024, we're just about 2.1 million. So over those 3 years, that surplus dropped drastically. The fund balance that we use to support our budget is very important here. In 2019, we were only using $790,000 to support our budget. In 2020, we used 1.2 million. In 2021, we used 1.5 million. 2022, we used 1.6 million. 2023, we used 1.78. And 2024, we used 1,915,000. And that's going to lead people to ask, this resulted in a $900,000 loss last year. the lack of future budget projections and look at past budget documents was left blank. So if you look at our past budget documents and the projections, they were never there. It's never been there. We've never had a plan going forward. And that's why we're in the mess that we're in. And that's why everyone's in this room. The utility fund balance, because everyone thinks that it's in real numbers, 2021, our utility fund balance was 1.1. 2024, it's $400,000. Utility fund, that's our sewer, went down $700,000. Next. Things we were doing and did in 2025 to help lower expenses. We secured grant money to help support the hiring of 6 police officers. 2 were replacements due to retirement and agency transfers. 4 cops were covered by the cops hiring grant. We combined positions for administrator and deputy clerk. We replaced our CFO with a new CFO with a shared service as well as a qualified purchasing agency from Galloway. Our 2025 budget, however, still includes fully funding our recreation program. As Rich mentioned, our senior program, and as well as everybody knows, our trash removal, which is $894,000. We did not cut any service directly to residents. We secured several grants to help strengthen our infrastructure and safety throughout town, and we adjusted our road program expenses for 2025.
Next.
Next. Go ahead, Rich.
So planning for the future, because clearly that's what everybody, I think, in this room wants. We've made a significant shift to focusing on securing grants to offset costs. We have multiple folks in City Hall working on trying to secure grants for 2026 already, 2027, and we're working with county, state, and federal partners in order to secure as many grants as possible. We're working with our professionals to realign our license, fines, fees, and permit costs to be comparable with other towns. Again, most of these fees haven't been raised in over 20 years. So as other towns are adjusting to get up to times, Absecon has never raised fees. And it's almost impossible to maintain that and assume that we'd be able to keep continuing the services that everybody expects. So there's a deep dive review of anything that has a dollar sign associated with it in our ordinances and regulations is going through a review process. We're going to continue to support the growth and development of existing businesses in Absecon and strive to maintain fiscal responsibility to offset any future tax liabilities. And what I mean by continue the growth and development is, one thing that I can speak to is, over the past few years, I think everybody in this room has either heard or been told this business is coming, or this business is coming, or this business will be here next year. We've now implemented a timeline where we're checking in with businesses constantly, we're checking in with developers constantly, and with that cadence, we're getting updates, and then they also realize that doing business in Absecon, you need to be upfront, you need to be honest, and you need to stick to timeframes, and we're holding them to these timeframes now. We're reviewing contracts, and we're having some real serious and important conversations in order to move the needle, because unfortunately, and again, it's been happening for a long time, but businesses say we're coming, or they own land in Absecon, but they're going to open, and unfortunately, they haven't. So we're really putting the fuel on the fire there and making sure that we check in with them constantly. And I thank those in City Hall that are having those tough conversations. Next slide, please. Go ahead, Alex.
Okay, so we're going to touch back on conclusion here, how and why. How is real simple, is, from 2015 to 2023, as I mentioned, we decreased our tax levy by $218,000. We decreased with all costs, contracts, pensions increasing, as well as raises for employees on both sides of the building with no financial future planning. We used COVID money that was utilized, but no decrease in expenditures to address gross spending. We received $440,000 2 years in a row in COVID money with no intent on how we were going to surpass that once we use that up, how we were going to replace that, because we used that money to balance our budget. We used one-time budget fix and potential growth to keep going. Not acceptable.
Now, again, moving forward, we're going to continue this budget process the entire year now. Historically, the budget started in mid-January when new councils would be sat or re-sworn in, and the budget process started in January, and it was through February pretty much. Many people in this room have attended the budget meetings this year. It's a packed schedule in February, 1 or 2 meetings in March, and then historically April is when the budget's introduced. That's changing now. We're moving towards what a lot of towns do, and we're starting the actual budget process in October now, moving forward. And we're working on resolutions and ordinances to implement an actual structured budget process timeline, and we're going to implement that. So this transparency isn't just tonight. It isn't just because, we're raising taxes and we want to make sure everybody knows and understands why, because we've been fielding questions. It's a whole new program, and it's a whole new process how EPSECA's going to do it. And regardless of elections, we're going to pass ordinances and resolutions to make sure that this is how it's done, no matter who sits up here. So moving forward, the budget process is going to start months earlier than it has historically in EPSECA, and these types of presentations will always happen. We're going to focus on operations utilizing a multi-year outlook now moving forward. Historically in EPSECA, as Alex mentioned, and you're welcome to look at previous budgets, the future budgets are always left blank in EPSECA. They have been as far back as I could see. That's no longer going to happen. Now, every budget will have a 2-year lookout. So budgets are going to be formulated through a 3-year process so that you understand, okay, this is what my taxes are this year. Next year, if we hit this, this is what it'll be. If we hire this, this will be. So it'll be transparent moving forward years out. So that way everyone can feel comfortable with what's happening today, but also plan for tomorrow, because I think that's ultimately what everybody wants and needs. Additionally, we've separated the duties of CFO and administrator. That historically in EPSECA, off the top of my head, I don't know, but that position has been the same person. We separated it this year. So now in EPSECA, you'll have an administrator that works on a budget and works with everybody, all the departments in City Hall, and then a CFO who works with that administrator. And then 2 people, A, have eyes on the budget, B, are able to work through the budget, and C, be able to split their time while working with council and the public as we go through this extended budget process. Again, instead of consolidating in February, we're starting way earlier, and it's going to be months of public input, public meetings, and things like that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the biggest change is going to be checks and balances.
And Rich, just to hit on that, we're saving money doing that. We're not,
That's correct.
no increased cost by separating that position. It's been long overdue.
Thank you, Nick, because that was a question, and thank you for touching on that. Yes, historically in EPSECA, that position was held by one person. We bifurcated the position and decreased the actual cost associated with that position this year. Next slide, please. So, like most people have seen me on social media or in the street, I've given away God knows how many business cards, but please feel free to reach out to me. That's my direct cell phone number. Anyone can call me or text me at any time. My poor wife, who just showed up, knows that I answer it regardless, and as much as she doesn't like it, I have a 24-hour call back. So if you reach out to me, I firmly stick to trying to return your calls or text messages within 24 hours. Additionally, that's my email address. I check it daily. And then also, Councilman Clark agreed to join me in answering any questions you may have. So please utilize those email addresses, utilize my cell phone. If you have a question about this budget, the future budget, practices, we are available. I will say 24/7, but if I'm sleeping, I will call you back the next day. Next slide, please. Sorry. Additionally, we recognize that nobody wants tax increases. We recognize that. Nobody wants to do it. We have fought tooth and nail over this. Alex and I have talked way too much together to go through this. Our CFO from Galloway has literally worked on Sundays to prepare this budget and to prepare EPSECA moving forward. But one of the things we also recognized was there are programs available to residents. So again, we're partnering with as many people as possible to bring any sort of relief. So for the first time, we are offering on May 19th, 2025, Mayor Marone and I will be at City Hall with professionals. The State of New Jersey Division of Taxation's Property Relief Program managers have agreed to come and host a seminar in Absecon. And additionally, the Property Tax Deduction Tax Collector and Eligibility and Applications Manager has agreed to come to the City of Absecon at 10 a.m. on May 19th. And we'll post this on the city website and social media and share it. So again, recognizing doing what we had to do, but also trying to offer relief and tracking down every possible opportunity to relief. So we reached out to the state, and the state has agreed to come to the city. They do not do this everywhere, but they are coming to the City of Absecon to directly offer these programs and work through them. Next slide, please. Mayor Marone, if you want to just touch super high level on the programs, because I know you've been working directly with the state.
Yes, myself, our tax collector, who is now part of our administrative team, have been working diligently because, as Council President said, no one wants to raise taxes. We live here, this is our community, and we want to make sure that everyone gets what they're entitled to. So property tax deductions that you're going to want to check out would be a veteran's deduction, senior disabled deduction. Next, please. You can feel free. Our tax collector is very transparent. She's very easygoing, very easy to talk to, and very, very informed. You can feel happy to call our tax office to talk to our tax collector, Jessica, or our deputy tax collector, Joy. Next, please, sorry. So when we talk about the state of New Jersey property tax relief, I think it is important to remind everyone how hard Jessica, our tax collector / administrative team, and I have been working directly with the state to ensure that everyone gets the tax benefits, the tax relief that they not only deserve, but you're entitled to it. And we are going to work hard as a governing body, and our professionals are all in to make sure that this is as, I don't want to say painless, but as easy as we can make it. This is just some, the next slide. This is just some more information that will be available on the website. This slide just gets pretty in detail of New Jersey property tax relief, talking about the senior freeze, the anchor program, and Stay NJ for senior homeowners. Next, please.
All right, so to wrap this up, Absecon is home. I live here, moved here in 2009. My wife grew up here. My 3 kids all went to school here. They went to preschool here. My son helps with everything. My daughter helps with everything. It is our community. We know these are hard decisions. I mean, Tommy's 3rd generation of Absecon. Linda raised all her kids in Absecon. Rich has been in Absecon. His wife's 2nd generation Absecon. Has been here for a long time. Nick's raising his family in Absecon. Mike Sykes is an Absecon legend down there. And Christine Parker raised her family in Absecon. So we know this is hard. This is not something that we looked forward to. It's not something that I woke up one morning and I just said, hey, great, it's a great idea. Let's raise taxes for the city of Absecon. It's the best thing we can do. It's not what we wanted to do. It's what we have to do. We looked at it. We ran it all different ways. When we first started it, to make the budget balance, it was a 21-cent tax increase. It's absurd. We cut costs, we cut things down, we cut our road program, we did things in our finance meetings and our budget meetings that we did our best to get to where we are.
Without cutting direct services to the residents of Absecon.
100%. And we prioritized certain things that we thought were more beneficial than others. And we know that this is a tough decision. We know this is a tough thing. And the main reason people don't want to raise taxes is because, yes, it hurts, but they care about being reelected. A lot of us did this knowing that, hey, this could have impact. We made the decision to do certain things, and we did it for the best interest of Absecon. We did it for the best interest of his family, my family, and your family. And we kept kicking the can down the road, as you could see in a couple of the charts that I put up. At some point, we were going to run out of surplus. It's inevitable. You can only borrow from the bank for so long without raising taxes. It's just inevitable that's what's going to happen. We had some decisions. We had some things that didn't work our way. We had a development project that we didn't capitalize on the way we thought we were going to back in 2021 and 2022. So some of these things never actually worked the way we expected. A few places and businesses didn't come in the way we expected, and that left us in the decision we're in. That's why we're working hard with new businesses. We're focusing on growing business in Absecon. We're focusing on growing our revenues. We think that's all the important stuff to help minimize tax increases. The more we can grow business and the more we can support our Absecon businesses and grow revenues, the better it is for all of us. If anyone else wants to add, I'm sorry.
No, so we're going to move into the public portion of this section of the meeting. I kindly request that we all keep our comments civil, and remember, we are all neighbors working to ensure Absecon's financial future is secure. I can only hope that everyone in this room's collective goal is a better future for our city. And with that, may I hear a motion to open this meeting to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So for anyone that is new tonight, everyone is given the opportunity to make comments for 5 uninterrupted minutes. I'm not going to cut you off at 5:01, but let's understand that there are folks that do want to speak. When you do come up to the microphone, just state your name and where you live in Absecon, and then you are welcome to make any comments you would like.
My name is Kimberly Horton. I live at 1003 Plaza Place. Mr. DeRose, I read your post a while back and questioned why you had to do a deep dive into this situation. Clearly, our CFO at the time, Jessica Thompson, made it quite clear that we underwent contract negotiations and also chiefs negotiations. And we are all for public safety, God knows. But we also know that it comes at a price. It was at that time we even discussed perhaps adding to the police force 3 additional officers. At the time, Jessica Thompson said a police officer equates to about $100,000. So they were talking, you were talking, we were talking 3 officers. That would be $300,000. It kind of went by the wayside while I was there. Then I noticed in January it came to be. We also obtained a grant. The grant paid for 4 officers, but it didn't pay for the officers. It paid a percentage. It paid $25,000. It was still, $75,000 was still on the backs of our taxpayers. You are stewards of the money collected here at City Hall. This job is a very, very difficult job with a lot of responsibility, not a lot of fun. As one person said, we're going to have so much fun down here. No, real decisions, real consequences. You own it. Those negotiations were all fine. Our chief's contract, and then you brought on these officers. It's all fine and good because we're all for public safety. But don't start looking to the past because that was substantial right there.
Mayor, just
no.
Let her go now.
As far as the COVID money is concerned, the COVID money we used for a capital project. Instead of taking money out, we used the COVID money for capital projects those years. Just to make that clear. We didn't use COVID money to plug in holes of the budget as was stated by the mayor. Thank you.
Well, I just want to make a comment about being stewards to the people.
We are.
A lot of us who are up here today, we ran on public safety, and you are correct. Public safety does come at a cost. And if you're standing here right now saying we should cut officers to balance the budget, I can assure you.
Hold on. Well, one at a time,
I would just like to make it clear that we are stewards to the people. I personally ran on public safety, and we delivered that message. We hired 3 officers, knowing it will come at a cost, and I'm proud of that.
So
I believe I stated that clearly.
So
I said that public safety is like number 1 in our community, but there is a cost to public safety. I did not say cut. You did.
Thank you. Just to clarify really quick, couple things, just order of business. Your opportunity to speak is a comment, and you're welcome to comment, and council members are welcome to respond. Please, I ask that everybody does it in an appropriate manner. I do want to clarify one thing. Every day I talk to residents in the city. Every single day.
You're no longer on the mic, ma'am. Thank you.
So I'd like to clarify something in that statement, though. We did hire police officers this year. That decision was absolutely made recognizing that that would increase taxes. And I would like to clarify that. That was something because every resident I speak to in the city of Absecon, every single day, wants more police officers. Every single day, people say, why did we have less police officers today than we did in 1995? Well, our population has gone up. Our town has slightly changed. Things happen. We made the conscious decision to hire more police officers to address that growing need with the understanding that was going to raise taxes. And I have detailed notes from that budget meeting that we were going to raise taxes, and the conversation last year during a budget meeting that was open to the public, and I believe some people in this room were actually at, we talked about raising taxes roughly 3 cents in 2025 to address that public safety concern, and that we were going to do that. Now, if you look at the budget, this budget, that's there. But the other 11 cents are actually 17 cents. That was never discussed. So the 3 cents, I believe, or 4 cents, Alex, that you have in here, for public safety, nobody's blaming the past on that. That was never discussed. That was never a past problem. We recognized we were going to raise taxes this year to address the public safety concern because that's what everyone brings up whenever we speak to them. Go on social media. Everybody talks about the speeding issues. Everybody talks about the crime issue. Everybody talks about going down the wrong way on certain roads issue. Everybody talks about these issues, the speeding by our schools. Well, unfortunately, when we have very few police officers on duty dealing with very serious issues on the White Horse Pike, along the motel route, and helping other towns with serious crime, they cannot post up and deal with other speeding issues. So we recognize that. So we are bringing on more police officers in 2025 and in 2024, but additional in 2025. And we recognize that costs money, and we recognize that that money was going to come from taxes. So I do want to bifurcate that and say that nobody's blaming police officer negotiations or new police officer salaries on the past. That was a convoluted statement that is simply not true.
And can we just tag one more thing in?
And I'm sorry, for clarification too, that those figures are not right because the school board on Tuesday evening, they've struck their budget, and so you can put an additional 2.9 cents.
Hold on, before you start, if we can, just point of order here now, right? If you're going to yield the microphone, there's obviously a line, but anybody that wishes to come up and speak, please get all your comments out, because once you yield, there's more people to come. You just jump, well, council's always going to get the list, right? You're going to say something, they're going to respond, that's how this goes. But we're not going to let you cut off 4 people again.
And additionally, it's actually per resolution that former Councilwoman Howell and council passed in 2022, council does not speak on anything that council does not have control over. The City of Absecon council members have zero control over what a school board budget is, so we're not going to speak to a school board budget. We have zero control over that. Just to clarify that as well.
Can I just say one thing because we were talking about it before we were interrupted? We did raise taxes 4 cents in 2024 when you sat in that chair right there and you were in agreement with all of us, and we raised that for public safety. And that was our first step in the initiative for public safety. Then we worked with the chief who went out and got a grant to allow us to hire more cops. We did replace 2 of them that were replacements and 4 were hires. We used a grant of $150,000 a year, I believe, for the next 3 years, not to mention the cost of $100,000 per cop is not accurate either, because you don't necessarily can speak on what cops take as health packages. A lot of these kids are younger, and they're not taking the health package because they live with their parents, and they get insurance for up to age 26, so why would they pay for their own health insurance? It wouldn't make sense. So the number of $100,000 for a cop is definitely inaccurate, so we'll move on from that.
Name and address, please. I know who you are, but you have to.
You know where I live too.
And I know where you live, because I'm addressing the public safety concerns that you reach out about. Next, please.
Josiah Andrews, 27 School Street. My question is for the loss of surplus. So it was like, what, $415,000?
415,000, last surplus was 900,000, but it was 415,000
Less.
that we could borrow for this year. So instead of being able to use 1.9 like we used in 2024, we're only eligible to use 1.5 for 2025 because the 415,000 obviously didn't come back. And you're going to ask me why, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was
That's
just
why
gonna say,
you
can
have
you
Exactly what I'm going to ask you.
explain that out?
I kind of have it down in my notes. Give me like 10 seconds here.
Are you yielding your time, Josiah?
Don't do that, Josiah, because I got to answer that, Josiah. Don't go too far. Okay, so comparisons, when it's all said and done, everything above, so I think comparison from 23 to 2024 without redoing the entire annual financial statement, the city lost 384 in fund balance with exactly things being the same, but in 2024, we used 135K more. We also maxed out all of our revenues. And revenues are money that you max out that you can bring back if you hit those numbers. Whatever's left over, you got to bring back the difference. Well, we maxed out the revenues, so we lost 100,000 there. We canceled 209,000 in appropriations.
Can I just say one quick thing?
Sorry.
So as we talk about moving forward and bringing on a new CFO, all financial experts do things slightly different. And one thing I was taught this year is most towns or cities, when they do what Alex was just explaining about your projections of your revenues, don't do 100% because we all have family budgets. We all have personal budgets. It's very rare that you hit your personal budget. Like, I'm going to go to the grocery store and only spend $20. It's rare once you're done scanning, it's exactly $20. So most towns don't go maxed out. But the city of Absecon has been utilizing the max out approach for some years. Moving forward, we will no longer be doing that. But I just want to add color to the future processes.
I gave most of that answer, I think, Josiah. I can give you more in detail if you want to talk off.
Give thumbs up.
Thanks, buddy.
Welcome, sir.
Sorry about that.
My name is Peter Reginier. I live at 7 Dale Ray Lane here in Gatherings at Bel Air Lake.
Can you spell your last name, sir?
R-E, G as in George, E, N as in Nancy, Y as in yellow, E.
Thank you.
I won't handcuff myself to this. Earlier this year, at Bel Air Lakes, all residents were assessed $6,000 due to poor financial management by the board and the property management. A lot of people are hurting over there because they're really on a fixed income and they're scrounging around figuring out how to pay. Now, what I did with regard to the taxes, and follow my math here, so I think I'm right. I took my assessment, right? I'm paying $5,955 in taxes. My assessment is $178,000. So I took the 178 and divided that into the 59.95 and came up with a tax rate of 0.03346. Is that right? Because you mentioned the tax rate earlier. And I said that's total.
That's total taxes. That's total tax. That's total tax.
I'm sorry, so just to clarify on one of the slides when we explained that.
I couldn't see it.
Okay, so when we, so
I got it over here.
when we explained it, sir, so that's like, if you're looking at your full tax bill, the council's budget that we're discussing tonight is only roughly 30%, is it roughly?
But you got the exact
30%?
number right. It's .3346.
I have a point to make.
Yep.
What are you proposing to increase the tax? How much?
0.11, 0.11.
0.11.
11 cents?
Yes.
And I'm paying 0.3 right now.
Technically, you're paying $3.3. Even though that number's not right, you got to back it back by 100.
Right.
So you could raise it up to 3.
All right, but if I take,
3.44?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand, keep
what
going.
I did was I took the 178,000 multiplied by .033
Yep.
and came up with
You're right.
what I'm paying.
Yep, 100%.
Using that logic, if you go to 11 cents, I'm paying $19,580 in taxes.
Because
11 cents on the 100.
So, sir, two things. One, it's not a percentage, and two, it's only a portion. So that number you're utilizing is your entire tax bill. What we're discussing tonight is
Okay.
less than 30% of that number.
And take your equation, your number, your .3346,
Yeah.
and add .0011 to it, and then do the calculation.
my town.
That's your mistake.
Yes, sir.
Well, I can't do it in my head, I'll do it when I get
I got you. You got it. You're on it.
And sir, feel free to call me tomorrow at any time with my cell phone that was up there, and we could walk through that. That's not a problem, and we can do a deeper dive because I don't have your slip in front of
cleared
me.
it up.
Pete, I think you're good because you did the calculation the first time. Once you just change that number and add it in, I think you'll have what you're looking
Can I
for.
get a free parking space or something for that? I yield.
Myself, sir.
Tommy, I like it.
That is somebody's cool grandfather.
Oh, thanks.
Greg Sayre, 625 Yarmouth Avenue. I don't think you've had the pleasure of having me here before, right?
Or talking to me or pulling me aside. Or...
Yeah, so it's nice to see a large crowd here, and I certainly appreciate the detailed budget presentation.
But I got to be honest with you, Greg. I apologize for cutting you off. Credit where credit's due. Greg Sayre is the person that reached out to me and said, hey, I've been coming here forever. Greg, I think, has his own chair. Forget parking space. He has his own chair in the corner for these council meetings. And he's the one that requested. He wanted to see charts. He says he's been asking for years specifically where these dollars are going. So kudos to you, because honestly, this presentation is because you hounded me no matter where I was in this city. So kudos to you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I hope that didn't take off my time either. But.
No, uninterrupted.
But, so, I just want to make sure I understand this correctly and maybe clarify it in simple terms for everyone else here. So, you talk about inflation, the CPI rate, right? Consumer price index. And we talk about our tax increases. Our tax increases were at what over the last 10 years total?
Over the last 10 years going into this year, it was 3.2 cents.
Since
So what
2015.
percent? So what percent, do you know?
I'd have to back that number real quick. Greg, while you're talking, I could probably do it. I'm pretty quick.
Your financial status here real quick.
You're putting me on the spot here, Greg, but
And we won't count this as your uninterrupted time.
unless Jerry knows it quicker than I do, he might. I'd have to take each of those years and divide it back out, Greg, but 1.019.
So while you're doing the math, I believe I heard correctly, CPI has been up 20% roughly over that
21.
time? 21
21%, and my guess is less than 2%.
is,
Would be my guess, off the top of my head. See if my math's as good as his calculator, but
All right.
under 3% would be my guess.
so let's just use 3% and 20%. That means the cost of all services in the area has gone up 20% over the last 10 years, and our taxes have only gone up 3%.
Correct.
Yep, just about 3.1%.
So you got a 17.
Okay, so that seems like a pretty big difference of where we're at, and I know, not necessarily CPI, but in the public sector, you mentioned healthcare, and other costs have gone up significantly.
Yes.
So we're talking about increase in our service cost and no increase in our tax levy to pay for that, essentially. Okay, I just want to make sure everyone understands, there's a big jump. We haven't had an increase in 3%, it should have been 20%, or somewhere close to that, right? That's what I'm hearing. And also, there should have been, our surplus has been going down.
100%.
So we've been borrowing from that. So we need to refund our surplus,
Correct.
cover these increased costs.
Correct.
Correct. If there's no surplus to borrow, I can't balance the budget.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Chris Randazzo. I live at 1034 Seaside. Yeah, that way. 1034 Seaside Avenue, here in Absecon. I guess my question seems kind of silly by comparison, but you had mentioned earlier that you had been talking about this budget with a lot of people all over the town. This is kind of the first I'm hearing of it. How did you decide who to talk to, and how can more people kind of get involved in that going forward?
That's excellent, sir. So a few things. One, all meetings are publicly posted. Additionally, we only have so much reach in terms of the city website, and we utilize social media. And if you look back, I believe, thank you, Mr. Hartman, I believe you've posted about, so it's been on social media, the Absecon page. I believe almost all, if not most, of the budget meetings were published. It's been talked about. My wife were in a shop right the other day. I was buying deodorant, and somebody pulled me aside to talk about it. So I don't know how else besides the city website and utilizing social media to get it out. But I know that folks have been doing it naturally via social media. I believe we utilized we've discussed moving forward. At the last budget meeting, somebody asked the same question, and moving forward, we're going to try to utilize some new technology in order to promote that. So whether it's using the Absecon American Legion's sign by Wawa to promote budget meetings, whether it's putting it in a mailer or a newsletter, but it's funny because we were trying to balance things. It's like, all right, we're trying to cut costs. How much money do we spend to then try to promote? So I will say that we utilize the resources available to us to promote the meeting via social media and the city website. I will be the first to agree with you, sir, that more needs to be done, and absolutely more will be done.
We didn't select the people, they came and asked a question, so that's why we were
Thank you,
trying to.
Councilwoman. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
People in their kitchens.
I'm so sorry, sir. Councilwoman, thank you for clarifying that. So, people have been seeing it on social media, quite honestly, and that's where folks have been reaching out to me.
Okay,
So the folks, so somebody saw a post on social media, reached out to me and said, hey, I'd like to understand this. The first thing I always do and say is come to a finance meeting. So not only during budget meetings, the city of Absecon once a month hosts a finance meeting. The whole year. It's so folks have come to those. There's a few people in this room that I see that have come to those. So they come to those. So when somebody reaches out to me, I usually advise them to either come to a council meeting where we discuss it openly, come to a finance meeting, which is again open to the public and can be discussed openly. However, there were a few occasions of those interactions that I've had that folks either couldn't get here. I'm not going to go into personal details with folks, but so we came to them. So we went to them. So it's not a, hey, I'll just do this naturally, but when people reached out to me, I didn't select people for clarification. Sorry about that.
No worries. Did you get the deodorant?
I did. Self-checkout, yeah. It took a little longer, but I did get it.
From there, if you have.
Thank you very much.
Over here. Thank you for your question, sir.
Hi, my name is Warren Kataska. I live at 908 Elm in Absecon.
You can move a little closer to the mic, sir. I'm sorry, I'm having a little hard time.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, better.
You can pull closer to you if you want. Drop it down.
You don't know me. I'm very technically challenged.
All right, no problem.
You're good. I just want to make sure I hear your question.
One of those old guys that doesn't use social media.
That's all right.
Okay, so I guess the question on a lot of people's minds here is, I think your explanation of how we got to 11 cents per 100 increase makes sense. Okay, we understand why it's happened. The question is, what's going to prevent it happening the next 2 years? Right? You mentioned already, you're planning a I worked in business for all my life. I did 5-year plans, okay? So you really have to look at very carefully what ratables are going to come online, where's your revenue going to come from, when is it going to come on, okay?
Yep.
Right, and what are your expenses going to be, okay? So my question, my further question would be, how do we know it's not going to be 11 cents a 100 next year? How do we know it's not going to be 21 cents a 100 next year? What assurances can you give us? And you mentioned mitigating, finding ways to mitigate these increases through grants. Can you give us an idea?
So,
the relative, how much money do you think you can get from grants? How much money do you think you can get from your ratables? And how can you control your expenses? I think we'd like to see more detail. I mean, the direction sounds great, okay? But we need more substance to that.
Man, no.
So if you could do me a favor, and email me, I'd love for you to be included. One of the things I didn't go. Well, no, sir. So actually,
I love you to come.
I'll tell you what, sir. In front of all these folks right now. In front of all these folks right now, you'll be the first, actually the second, because I promised Greg as well, you'll be appointed. In the 90s, there was a financial advisory committee that was formed in the city of Absecon. And what that committee did was it was residents just like yourself that were on the committee. And they would come to finance meetings and they would work with the council members to they even had powers of themselves to create reports, things like that, and they got resources from the city. I genuinely can't figure out, I spent about 2 hours researching this, I can't figure it out exactly when, but I want to say like 2012 to 2015, maybe 2016 timeframe, they stopped meeting and they weren't reauthorized. So in June, we plan, as part of the mitigation moving forward, we are not only going to reauthorize the EPSECN Financial Advisory Committee, I believe it's called, but we're actually going to increase it. In the past, it was 4, we're going to go up to 7. So 7 folks from the city of EPSECN are going to sit on this board. They're going to have powers to review the budget throughout the whole year. They are going to have direct communication throughout, and I welcome you to be a part of that. Email me, I will ensure you are one of the first people.
Starting the process in October is where every business starts.
Correct,
Exactly,
and that's
sir.
been our problem. I mean, we're starting in February. I mean, that's,
Right, you don't do
and this is only my second year doing the budget, right? So last year was my first year, so this year I learned obviously a lot more, and we're doing that.
Business that doesn't start
Yes,
this
sir.
budget, not
Correct.
before October, or
Correct.
not until after, October
Yeah.
timeframe.
So please email me, and you will be a member of that committee.
I think Jerry wants to answer some of the questions.
Just as a point too, one of the things that was mentioned and was on the conclusion slide was in the moving forward thing. One of the things I know council has discussed is doing that multi-year projection of where are we going over the next 2 years to make sure that we're sustainable on that, to your point, that you're not going to continue to see these increases. So I know council's already kind of talked
It's a
about.
project map, right? You know when things are going to hit.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right, so you should know where the trigger point should
Yeah,
be.
and
when things don't hit,
You're
you
gonna
get
have a
let-
timeline.
correct.
People
Yes, sir.
accountable to a timeline.
100%.
Right? That'll show.
100%. And quite honestly, to your question, how step one is mitigate, and then figure out once we mitigate, once we put the new processes in place, we can then also additionally start projecting, and that will absolutely be a part of October.
Right.
So, no, but absolutely. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know the answer for tomorrow. It's going to be a work in progress with the Financial Advisory Committee that we're going to appoint.
It's about the process. It's
Yes,
not
sir.
about what you have today.
100%.
And that's what our new current CFO, it's just a different approach than what we've had in the past. And that was one of the first things she suggested was like, your budget process needs to start you need to start working on your budgets and telling people to think about their next year's budget in the summertime. So come October, we could start building a budget. Again, it's
Come up.
every effort we're trying to do is
So really quickly though, like another process that we've already implemented, and again, I didn't want to go into super detail with very specifics only because a lot of it's a work in progress, but we are also implementing very specific spending freezes under this whole building for the police, for EMS, for the fire department, for the tax office, you name it. There are triggered spending freezes so that throughout the entire year, you're a businessman, throughout the entire year, we can actually have a snapshot and an analysis of what's been spent, and then we can readjust moving forward.
Rich, in fairness, though, one thing I would say, if you're going to start the process in October, the communication of what the changes are likely to be shouldn't be in April.
No, sir, and they won't be.
And I think that's what caught a lot of people off guard here. I mean, it's reasonable, again, how much you increased.
Yep.
But how you communicated it. I mean, a lot of people didn't know about this until they heard about it from EPSECN.
Yeah.
That's how they heard
text
about
message,
it.
right?
I mean, not everyone looks at the website. I mean,
No,
unless you're prompted to go to the website, right?
And I get that, but what I will say,
A lot of finance, like, we've had a lot of the finance meetings, and some people in the room, I know Mr. Hartman's attended a bunch of them, so people have come to him, and we've talked about it, and we talked about different things there, and that's kind of where the start was. We announced, I guess, the budget, the last meeting, where we released it? No, the last meeting before that.
we actually had. Thank you for your input, though.
but I will say, I see some head shaking in the crowd. Hands down, though, this budget, which it's kind of ironic that this is happening, has had the most communication ever when it comes to a budget in the city of EPSECN. I am the first council member, and I challenge anybody to say that has posted about budget meetings, has posted their direct cell phone to discuss the budget on social media multiple times. So I agree with you, and I'm not going to sit here and say I couldn't do more. And moving forward, you betcha, we are absolutely going to. We absolutely are going to.
Because you have a lot of people in the city.
And we're addressing that. No, you're.
Not socially savvy.
No, we're going to directly address that, sir, and
There's gotta be other ways to.
we're discussing like a late fall mailer or something like that, where timing with other things that go out, that way it's not a separate postage. We're discussing all of that, and honestly, maybe at the first financial advisory meeting, we could discuss it even more.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I take it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. They will get a tax bill.
Go ahead, sir.
Just as an aside, I think happily, we need some tariffs.
Have a good evening, sir. Thank you for calling.
that guy.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Bob Middlesworth. I live at 413 South Shore Road. And my questions are really directed at the increase in the budget that is due to the increase in the number of police force.
Yes, sir.
So some of the questions I had was what was the basis of the decision? I've heard you explain some of that. It's just human feedback. But I was wondering if there's a statistical basis. Is there an analysis of how much increase in crime there has been?
Oh, yeah.
Was any of that taken into consideration? If there was such a study, was that taken into consideration in deciding the need for increased police presence? And another, I can just add another question, or you want to address?
Okay, go ahead. Ask your question. That way we won't interrupt you, sir.
Okay. So the other thing I was wondering about was if, and it might be naive, so forgive me, but if the police presence is really directed at two things, one is traffic maintenance and safety on the roads, and the other is crime, is there an easier, less expensive way to dedicate police force to traffic maintenance? And I'm thinking with automatic speed controls that can identify the owner of the vehicle, let the word get out when people start having to pay because their vehicle was guilty of speeding or reckless driving, and at the expense savings of payroll for police force who could maybe dedicate their attention to more concerning crimes. Not that getting killed on the highway is not concerning.
No, of course, sir. Really, so before Councilman Sykes, I know you
was going to answer, I think.
I was going to say, Councilman Sykes had a comment.
No, I was going to say that with the crime, like I don't know the backfall of the years before that, but I know that we've been trying to, again, be transparent. We have the amount of arrest calls and everything like that have been on the Absecon police page, and I'll revert back to Chief. I know he's got the numbers better than I do, but the calls were upwards into 4,000 calls a month. So
compared to between 1990 and 1995, you had 28 full-time police officers. And you averaged 14 to 15,000 calls for service. We now average somewhere between 35 and 40,000 calls for service. We had gotten up to 28 police officers a couple years ago, but with people retiring and lateral transfers, we haven't actually been at 28 for quite some time. So these officers that are in the police academy now bring us back up to the 28 and add an additional 4 officers. So when you talk about the traffic, can we put, like speed signs or capture people on video, that doesn't hold up in court in the state of New Jersey. So we can't purchase cameras that capture people doing, violating traffic laws and then prosecute them in court. So I think overall with the crime, we handle everything here. We handle not only the traffic, but you have, we have our hotels. And as everyone knows who contacts me constantly, since COVID, we have a large homeless population, which is very unfortunate. And also, the difference between 30 years ago and today is the additional training we have to attend to, the additional work that is involved in each case. And, lastly, we deal with, one of our biggest problems in this country, and that's the mental health crisis. And those cases aren't, it's not like TV where things are handled in an hour TV show. A lot of this stuff is handled over the course of several days. Last year we had five fatal motor vehicle accidents, Captain. And, those cases take several weeks, in fact, several years before they're actually adjudicated. So these are all things that, with the caseload being multiplied by 10 to a finished product compared to 30 years ago with the standards, the lack of less officers than we had then just makes our work productivity less, just based on the amount of work that's been increased due to state laws and Attorney General guidelines.
Chief, we've also probably had a substantial amount of increase in population within Upseekin with my place is opened off of Pitney Road. So, I mean, we've had, different and more housing, so we bring more people into the city, which therefore needs more police to, cover that amount.
I think if we're going to speak about that, yeah, absolutely. I think every municipality has an increase in population. I know we have folks in the room that live near Five Corners who will attest to not only us, but our surrounding communities have an increase in population. We're going to start seeing more problems down on Mill Road because of the increase of population on Westcott Road. It's just what happens when we develop and we bring more people to an area. And so, yeah, our neighboring town, Galloway, our attitude is this, sir. Galloway's problems are our problems because everybody's traveling through both municipalities. So chances are, if it's a problem in Galloway, it's a problem here between Route 30 and traveling north and south through our town. So with all that increased traffic, and listen, I was at a meeting today at the state level, at the state chiefs meeting, and Division of Highway Safety recognizes since COVID that there was a decrease in fatal motor vehicle accidents and fatal accidents on the roadways up until 2019, I believe. Unfortunately, COVID, and since COVID, those numbers have substantially increased. But moving forward, we're hoping with the additional officers, we actually have a traffic unit. We have not ever had an actual traffic unit where an officer is assigned and that's his only task. Right now, if you are in patrol, you may have time to do traffic in between handling all the other things that come about, including things like making sure our kids get to school safe. Recently we've had some days where in the morning and in the afternoon we have 4 or 5 officers covering traffic posts to make sure our kids get crossed because of the lack of crossing guards. So, times are different. And, with the increase of people and unfortunately the increase in crime, we need more officers.
Thank you, Chief.
One follow-up question. Is there any other single element of the budget that accounts for the requirement for an increase other than, is the police force the biggest single element resulting in a need for increase?
So I want to remind everybody, in every municipality, public safety is your largest part of the tax base, but you got to remember, it's not just the police department. It's our ambulance services, it's our fire services, and all these things to operate just like our folks at home. We talk about your budget at home, right? Well, if you went and bought a new car 10 years ago, it was probably substantially less than it is today. So, like fire apparatus, including equipment and trucks, along with for our ambulance services, an ambulance 5 years ago was probably $50,000 less than it is today.
My question was, does the need for increased police coverage, is that the biggest element? And I didn't think it was lumping. Is there an increase in firefighting expense?
You mean specific to police? Fire, I believe, stayed very close. Kudos to the fire department. They stayed very close. Off the top of my head, I don't have the exact number. I can reach out.
Fire department was flat. They
were flat, okay.
In comparison to the previous years.
Ambulatory services were increased, but fire was not. If you're asking for the slice of the pie that was public safety, it was fire flat, increase in law enforcement, increase in EMS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody? Oh, I didn't even see you stand there.
Permissible to ask something non-budget?
Not you. So yes and no.
Yes and no.
No right now. Yes shortly.
I'll come back short.
Thank you, sir. Sorry about that. Name and address, please.
Hi,
Betty.
Betty Howell, 1007 Spring Lane. We all know, guys, that the job that you have is tough. And I'm sure all of you ran on the platform that you weren't raising taxes, just like any politician out here ran on the same thing about not raising taxes, okay? I have just a few questions I want to ask so I can get it straight in my mind. First of all, the comment about the COVID money that was used. That money that came down from the federal government was very, very specific on what you could spend it on. We did not use it to plug up any kind of holes. We used it for infrastructure, which was one of the things we could use it for, okay? It helped to clear off the rainwater on Highland Boulevard. I also think it was used for the wall that was caving in here. So to say it was used to plug up the budget, that's wrong. Sorry, but that was wrong.
We don't have to budget for any of that kind of stuff, though. I mean, it's part of the budget.
Let her finish.
The flooding, no, because who expected that to happen? Because it had just been fixed. So yeah, it wasn't budgeted. That's something we usually do. As far as the road, actual road repair, we're on that 10-year kind of rotation thing, and our roads are great if you look at our roads compared to everybody else's road. Bob, just so that you know, those speeding things that you see, I consider that a challenge when I see them, and just so that you know. Oh my God! You didn't hear it, Jim. A few other things. I just want to clear up. You have hired somebody in place of Jessica.
Yes.
Is this a part-time job or a full-time job?
We actually hired 2 people.
Okay, is that a
Two
part-time job?
CFOs.
Like, are they here every day is my
No,
question?
part-time. Well, actually, they're here probably 4 days out of 5.
Well, which position
One person.
specifically?
I'm just asking because I don't know.
Yeah, they're here 4 out of 5 days probably. Somebody, one person's here.
Yes, I mean, during the budget season, they've been here 5-6 days between the two of them.
But yes, about 4 days.
Yeah.
Part-time is your answer, yes.
Due to, when we were going through the process of the CFO and realizing when they looked at the budget, like a $12.8 million budget, that's how they gauge of like how much time, like there was no full need for a full-time CFO in the city of Absecon due to our budget size. So a township like Galway, Galway's budget is 36, something like that.
Yeah, I can pull it back up.
Yeah, that's a full.
Shaking her head, yes.
What are they paid? What are they paid? And you save money.
Should I say what that number is? I guess I can. I know what it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's I believe estimated $76K for both of them.
For both,
Am I wrong?
for 2.
She knows. She's back here. She can come up and she can probably answer this one for me.
Okay.
So we come as a package. There's 3 of us. I'm over here. I'm the CFO now here. My name is Kristen Manning. I'm sorry I was late. I'm not up front. I was in the back. I didn't want to interrupt the meeting. It's myself, a deputy, and a QPA, qualified purchasing agent, because I'm not certified as a QPA. The 3 of us are part of a shared service agreement. We come from Galloway, and it's $75,000 for the 3 of us.
I was off by a grand.
And then just to make things easier, and we were on a roll, and then we broke off. I blame myself as well. You can ask everything you want, and then we can, instead of it being back and forth, and then we can address it as well.
And hold on, Betty, while we're on that, because I know this came up before, there's no health insurance there, there's no additional pension, it's all part of the 75. Just so I know that when someone comes and says it's 140, it's not, it's only 75.
But they're part-time, so they wouldn't get.
Correct, that's why I'm making sure everybody knows that, because I don't want someone to say, oh, it's 140, really.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking questions, because I don't know.
I'm with you.
Okay, I guess that's it. See, that was
Thank you.
short and
Thanks,
sweet.
Betty.
You got that tape?
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Betty.
Name and address, please. I'm like a broken record. I apologize.
It's Mark.
My name was
Mark Pizzone, 616 Pitney Road. I read somewhere that the county executive took money away from our city, $240,000, 2 cities.
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Okay, I'll get that for you then, because it was posted on one of the radio shows, said that some money was deducted from our city. So I'll get that sent to you.
Yeah, I have not spoken directly to
Us and
anybody from
another
the county
city.
level.
Out of the 23 cities, 2 cities funding was.
Could be school funding. Could be school funding, because I think there is
Could be
something school
school?
funding. I think there is something school funding, they lost X amount
Well,
of
they
the county.
specifically said two city names, Absecon and another one.
I believe it is
They said
school.
directly from the city.
Yeah. That's a school. I believe it's school.
That's a school?
Yeah, we lost state funding of about 78,000. I think I said, I can look at my numbers, I'm gonna go by head.
So you're minus that. We all know that electric, our energy rates are going up since, for the last 8 years, I believe. The total increase is 47%. Did you account for that in your budget? Because it's going
This
up
year, yes.
17% in June.
This year, for the first time, yes.
Okay, so it hasn't been.
Yeah, the budget was
Taxes
flat,
haven't been
even
increased
though,
to meet
even
the
though,
energy costs.
even though the energy costs went here, to cover it went here. So yes, but this year, we're building in expected increases.
Okay.
And that's all part of the tax increase, is recognizing that the money doesn't come from anywhere. So we're recognizing that those increases are either have happened or are coming in Q3 or Q4.
I noticed that throughout the years that really the taxes haven't gone up.
Correct.
It kind of stayed at a level thing. So let me get this straight. Costs didn't go up for all those years that taxes didn't go up?
They went up significantly.
Okay, so we're actually catching up.
Correct.
Correct.
All right, so this is no surprise.
Over 11
for
years,
anybody.
over 11 years after this tax increase, it'll be 14.2 cents increase over 11 years. So just a little bit more than 1 cent a year, to answer your question. Where if we did 1 or 2 cents every single year, we probably wouldn't need to do such a drastic change like this.
Okay. Let's talk about the police force. They have to wear body cams now. At one point, they never had tasers, so they have to get tasers now. And I know the maintenance for these body cams are high. Was that accounted in the budget these last few years of no tax increases?
What I will tell you is, I can't speak to
He's gonna answer
a very specific question to that, but the budget was determined based off of direct communication. Councilman Clark and I, including the new CFO, sat extensively with every single department to discuss those kind of specific costs for this increase. And Chief, if you want to highlight, I don't know.
Well, my question is,
yes, sir.
Taxes didn't go up. How did you pay for these body cams and these tasers?
He got grants, I believe he's going to probably tell you.
I can answer the body cams. So we've had body cams here in the city of Absecon. We were one of the first to have body cams in Atlantic County dating back to 2016. We are on our second round of body cams. In 2022, I believe, we got a state grant in somewhere in the ballpark of about 75 to 80,000, which covered the majority of it. I think we had to budget in the budget that year 20,000 for the rest of the body cams. This morning I was at the state chiefs meeting, like I said earlier. We had a discussion about it, and the state association is going to ask the Senate committee, because the timeline is coming to an end for these cameras and their lifespan, to ask for another additional grant from the state. So this grant from the state, the last time I think it was either 58 or 68 million. And it was distributed over all the departments that asked for the money. So we looked at getting more cameras for the officers that we hired. What we did was we appropriated some cameras, and some people we're going to use, some of the administrators are going to share the cameras so that we don't waste money, because I am anticipating on the state re-upping that grant. But we just won't know until the end of the year. So currently, we are under, our cameras are under warranty for through 2026. So we are covered. If anything happens to our cameras, just so everybody knows, a part of the contract with the last camera is we purchased 30 cameras in a ballpark of 100,000, somewhere in there. If something happens